New comic book day is upon us, just a couple of days away. It's time to take a look at what's coming out so I can tell you what I'm getting. What's up, guys? BJ Kicks here. I buy comics, I read them, and I review them, all for your viewing pleasure. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. Now, on this channel, I talk about comics, so if you love comics like I do, consider subscribing. This is the latest in a series that I like to call What I'm Getting, where I go through the books coming out. I tell you what's on my pull list, what's on the chopping block, and what's on the maybe list that I might be making a game day decision on. Now, there are a lot of books coming out this week, a lot of expensive books coming out this week. You guys know I try to stay on budget of $50 a week. I can tell you right now, that's not happening this week. So let's take a closer look at all the books coming out so I can tell you which ones I'm most excited for and what's on the pull list overall. Now, I do love starting with the one that I'm most excited for. Before we do, I have to give a huge shout out to our channel sponsor, Ultimate Comics. Now, Free Comic Book Day is quickly approaching. It's like a week from Saturday. Saturday, May 7th is Free Comic Book Day. It's not just at Ultimate Comics, it's nationwide at all participating local comic shops. But at Ultimate Comics, they do it big. And this is the first big new comic book day or free comic book day in about 2 years since my first free comic book day. So there's going to be free comics. There's going to be huge sales going on at all 4 Ultimate Comics locations. You definitely want to make sure that you've got your spot in line early. So just wanted to mark your calendar. Anyway, you can check out Free Comic Book Day and pretty much any new comic book day at Ultimate Comics, Raleigh, Durham, Cary, and the Crabtree Valley Mall. Or if you're not local, you can shop online at ultimatecomics.com. Thanks so much to Ultimate Comics for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back into the pull list. And like I said, I want to get into the book that I'm most excited to see this week. And that was a hard one. That was a hard one because we got a lot coming out. But you know it. I'm a DC fan, and the book I'm most excited for this Wednesday is Justice League issue 75. This is apparently the final issue of this Justice League run because it includes the death of the Justice League. Right? That's crazy. So Joshua Williamson is killing off the Justice League somehow, taking them off the board. Obviously, the Justice League's not going to be dead forever. I hope. But how do they die? What threat is going to take out the Justice League? Who's going to replace them? All these questions I have, and I'm sure you have as well. Look, I haven't disliked anything I've read from Joshua Williamson at DC. So I'm excited to see where this goes. This is going to lead directly into the Dark Crisis, which, by the way, gets its start in the Free Comic Book Day issue from DC this year. So definitely make sure you attend Saturday, May 7th. But anyway, if you want to be abreast of everything going on in the DC universe, this is the time to jump on. Justice League 75's got a cover price of $5.99. Yes, I know. And there's a lot of covers, but I'm going to get the cover A. Now, since we're talking about DC Comics, we got a huge slate this week. Let's continue. So first up is Action Comics issue 1042. This is still Clark on War World trying to free the world's slaves from Mongol. This has like quietly been a really, really great series. I know all the controversy that follows the Son of Kal-El series, but if you want classic Superman doing classic Superman symbol of hope things with really high stakes action and great art, you definitely need to be reading Action Comics by Philip Kennedy Johnson. This one's got a cover price of $4.99. I'm getting cover A. Next up is a book that is always my favorite, like every week that it comes out. This is Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 6, written by Tom Taylor with art by Yasmin Putri. Listen, it's amazing. It's the DC universe with like a Game of Thrones Fortnite skin on it. It's a mystery. You don't know what exactly is going on. There's a war between these different realms and factions, and the heroes that you think should be heroes aren't exactly who you think they might be. It's just a great series. High stakes, lots of fun, every issue action-packed, and it's different. It's Elseworld, so it's like you don't quite know what to expect, but you always love it. It's great. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. Next up is a book That's a part of a huge crossover. This is Deathstroke issue number 8. This is going to be part 3 of the Shadow War crossover, and it's going to directly tie into another book that we'll talk about later. But basically, the Shadow War is a crossover event trying to solve the assassination of Ra's al Ghul by Batman. It's crossing over between Batman, Deathstroke Inc., and Robin, all penned by Joshua Williamson. So listen, if you like Joshua Williamson, if you like Batman, if you wanted something cool happening, read it. Read Deathstroke Inc. number 8. That's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. And the next book on the pull list is Detective Comics issue 1059. We're finally done with the ridiculous weekly event that was Shadows of the Bat and the House of Arkham and all that. It's done. This, I believe, is still by Mariko Tamaki, but as you can see from the cover, it looks like it's going to be a Riddler-focused story. The Batman just came out on HBO Max. I finally watched it. Riddler's one of my favorite Batman Rogues Gallery members, so I'm all in for this issue. It's got a cover price of $4.99. I'm getting cover A. And the next book on the DC Comics pull list is one that I haven't been reading for a minute, but I kept buying it because I'm a sucker. This is The Joker, issue number 14. This is the last issue of this series, and James Tynion is finally wrapping up his story. Now, this is a book that I started picking up because this is where Punchline's adventures continued from her first appearance and the big splash she made in the Joker 80th anniversary special. And honestly, once Tynion announced that he was basically leaving DC, I kind of lost interest in the series, but I was so far along, I was like, well, I might as well keep picking it up in single issues as opposed to waiting for a hardcover. So Joker number 14. Who knows if the story's any good? If you think it's good, let me know in the comments below. It's got a cover price of $5.99. I'm getting cover A. And the last book on my DC Comics pull list, I kind of alluded to this one earlier, but this is Robin, issue number 13. This will be part 4 of the Shadow War crossover. So again, if you're following this event going on in the pages of Batman, you kind of have to read Deathstroke Inc. and Robin. By the way, before this crossover started, Robin was like my number 3 favorite book in comics. So definitely, I'm excited about this series. I need to go back and binge this whole event because I haven't even read the alpha issue yet. My pull list my reading pile is kind of out of control. But Robin number 13, it's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A, and that's it for my DC Comics pull list. If I just stick to the list, I don't go crazy buying variants or anything like that, then my DC Comics are going to cost me $34 this week. Nah, it is what it is. I told you, it was a heavy week. Now, since we've talked about, DC, the Distinguished Competition, it's now time to talk about the House of Ideas. Let's jump over to Marvel Comics, where we got a brand new number 1. This week, this is amazing. The Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 1. The Amazing Spider-Man, written by Zeb Wells, with art by John Romita Jr. Now, if you've been following the channel for a little while, you know I've been hypercritical of John Romita Jr.'s art, because when I got into comics in 2019, he was doing some fill-in issues on Batman with Tom King. Didn't really like his art there. Then he did the Superman Year One, and I objectively hated the art in that series. It got to the point where if I saw John Romita Jr.'s name on a book, I just wouldn't pick it up. But John Romita Jr. is on record as stating that he wanted to come back to Marvel, and he's got an axe to grind with fans or anyone who had been critical of him in the last few years with this book. So what I am expecting to see is John Romita Jr. on the character that basically made him famous, bringing his A game. And aside from that, the story looks to be pretty good. The preview pages I've seen are pretty good, as long as we can just get past this little bendy leg here on the cover. But anyway, Amazing Spider-Man, number 1, a brand new era. There's going to be 1 million covers. It's a number 1 for Amazing Spider-Man. So be careful. Go beat out the speculators. Get to your shop early. It's going to be a hot issue. It's got a cover price of $5.99. I'm getting cover A. Now, the next book on the DC Comics pull list is technically a number 1, but it's the second in a series. This is Hulk Grand Design, Madness #1. So the Hulk Grand Design was basically a pair of one-shots by Jim Rugg. So you had Hulk Grand Design Monster a couple of weeks ago. Now you got Hulk Grand Design Madness. Together, these books are basically retelling the entire 60-year history of the Hulk. But what I loved about issue 1 was like the art style kind of changed from the beginning of the book to the end. So it's like we're getting more and more modern with the art. And if this cover is any indication, I'm going to love what issue 2 or the Madness issue is bringing to us. But anyway, it's written and drawn by Jim Rugg. It's got a cover price of $5.99. I'm getting cover A. Now, the next book on my pull list for Marvel Comics almost didn't make the cut because I still haven't read issue #1. This is Punisher, issue #2. The Punisher is one of those titles that didn't exist when I first got into comics, right? When I started reading books in 2019, The Punisher was gently on a shelf and nobody was touching them. And there have been all kinds of controversy over the Punisher logo and so on and so forth. Benjamin Percy has brought back the Punisher. And is it Benjamin Percy or is it Jason Aaron? Might be. Dang. I don't remember anymore. Either way, the Punisher is back. And I don't know. People really loved issue 1. I need to go back and read issue 1. I was going to drop it, but I'm like, I'll give it one more issue. I'll go back and binge read them. I actually know where issue #1 is. Once I get caught up on this to read pile, it's about to be over for a lot of these series though. But anyway, the Punisher #2's got a cover price of $4.99. I'm getting cover A. And the next book on my pull list actually isn't on my pull list, but I can't remember if I told you I was going to drop this before or not. But it popped up in League of Comic Geeks, so I figured, all right, let's go ahead and nip this in the bud. So let's go ahead and nip it in the bud. Sabretooth #3 is on the chopping block. I'm not picking it up. I'm pretty sure I didn't buy issue #2 because that also came in a heavy week. But in case I didn't, Sabretooth #3 is getting dropped. Why? Because it's a miniseries that just isn't super consequential. If you're a Sabretooth fan, I'm sure it's great. I'm sure the art is great. As a matter of fact, I know the art is great because I thumbed through issue #1. But I just don't need this many books to be sitting in a pile waiting for me to read them. I just don't have the time. So I'll wait for it digitally. I mean, if it's that great, hopefully they do an oversized hardcover, but chances are it's just going to live in my iPad for the foreseeable future. But Sabretooth #3, it's got a cover price of $3.99, and I saved $4 this week by not buying it. So if I just stick to the list, my Marvel comics are going to cost me $17 this week. Still a heavy week, but not as heavy because I dropped a book. See, I can be frugal. Now, we got one more round to go because we talked about Marvel, we talked about DC. We have not talked about any of the lesser known, the smaller, creator-owned titles, bigger, whatever. The indies. We call them indies. Now, the first book on my indie and creator-owned pull list is Gunslinger Spawn, issue #7. Why is Gunslinger Spawn still on my pull list? Because it's actually, I like the art. The covers are always great, and it's only $2.99. I dropped King Spawn. I did drop King Spawn last week, so it's possible. It's possible, but with this cover, they're definitely keeping me in. But anyway, it's a cover buy. That's what I have in my notes right here. Gunslinger Spawn's got a cover price of $2.99. I'm getting cover A. Now, the next book is another book that's on the chopping block. I was kind of iffy on it last month, and I bought it anyway. But this time around, I am not buying Rogue Sun. So Rogue Sun, issue #3. This is a spin-off title from the Radiant Black universe. We got Radiant Black. We got Radiant Red, which is a miniseries. We got Rogue Sun, which I don't know if that's a new ongoing or not. But it's just, when you got that many spin-offs, it's like, it comes to a point where it's like, okay, I can't read this and everything else I'm reading. So Rogue Sun, sorry, you got to hit the chopping block, my man. But Rogue Sun's got a cover price of $3.99, which I'm saving by not buying. Now, the next book on my pull list is actually the last book that I'm buying this week. It's super long awaited. I'm kind of mad that I'm buying it, but why would I not buy it? It's the finale of the miniseries. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin, issue number 5. Now, when I say I'm mad I'm buying this book, it's not because it's bad. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Now, The Last Ronin is probably one of the best books or best miniseries I've read in the 3 years that I've been reading comics. The problem is this book has been coming out for what feels like 3 years. This is issue number 5. Issue 4 came out like 5 months ago. Issue 3 came out like 5 months before that. I don't know how we've gotten one issue every 8 months of this book. And I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm pretty sure the first issue of this came out in 2020, like before the pandemic 2020. Am I tripping? Like, somebody let me know if I'm tripping, because I'm pretty sure I'm not tripping. This came out like, let's look it up. All right, got it. So the last Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin, issue number 1 came out on October 28th, 2020. So the pandemic had started by then, but 2020, it's 2022. Why is the 5th issue just now coming out? But anyway, it's been a great series, despite the delays. This one, why I'm really mad is because it took forever to come out, even though every issue has been like the best issue of the month that it releases. But each issue has a cover price of like $6.99 or above. This week, it's $8.99. And what's crazy is if you just wait like 3 weeks, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles The Last Ronin hardcover is coming out. All 5 issues, and you can buy it right now at Organic Price Books, $25. $25 for all 5 issues versus $8.99 per issue for 5 issues. I feel like I got. And what's crazy is I justified it by saying, well, hey, I'll be able to read the story before anyone else. It'll be a while before they collect it. Joke's on me. Great story, though. Basically, if you haven't read it, I don't want to spoil it, but everybody dies except one turtle. All the turtles are dead, and Master Splinter's dead. The sole surviving turtle is like, you know what? It's time to face off with the Foot Clan for the last time. I'm going to avenge everyone. And it's like The Dark Knight Returns for Ninja Turtles. It's amazing. It really is a great book. And it's probably going to be my pick of the week this week. But man, was that rollout terrible. But anyway, I've said enough. Last Ronin's got a cover price of $8.99. I'm getting cover A. And that's it for my independent comics this week. Since I'm not buying Rogue Sun, I'm only spending $12 on the indie and creator-owned books, which leaves me with a grand total of $63. So yes, I'm over budget, but I'm not as much over budget as I was gonna be. I was very much about to spend over $70 this week, which would have put me $20 over budget. My budget's $50. But hey, we salvaged it. And last week, remember, was a really light week. So for the month of April, I'm still good. And that's awesome. So that's my list this week. Let me know what you're reading that I'm not picking up, because there's a lot of stuff coming out that I'm definitely not grabbing. Aquaman, I'm not grabbing. The White Knight Beyond, I'm not grabbing that because I haven't been reading the rest of them. But anyway, what are you guys grabbing this week? I'd love to hear about it below. And if you want to talk comics with me all the time, you got to join the K Squad. It's my private community on Facebook and on Discord. So links are in the description below. Be sure you join. I'm very excited about the new comics this week. If you're as upset about The Last Ronin as I am, let me know in the comments below. I'll see you in another video very soon. Until then, hope you saw something you liked in this one. If not, hey, that's cool. You can always buy what you like. Just make sure you read what you buy. And be nice to others, because kindness makes the world go round. Peace.